I remember earlier in the second company I worked at, Integralis, who was a UK VAR helping build out cyber in the UK, later in EMEA. And I met the IT director of a large newspaper, and I was a kid. I was young in my career, early days, and we'd screwed up. We'd made a mistake. And I went up with one other person and was in this large boardroom with the IT director and, I don't know, 10 other people. And the first thing I said was, hey, we made you a promise and something's gone wrong, and I'm sorry for that. And I own that, and we're going to own it until we resolve it, and I'll be personally accountable to you. And I remember the lady, the IT director, saying, she said, nobody ever says that. All these people are here to prove that we're right so that you can own it, because we expect you to come and say, not my fault, not my problem.
Right.
And I was just amazed at that.
Yeah.
And I've seen that throughout my career. I remember with one of the largest partners that we ever worked with, 3 companies later at Arcot, we were in a situation where I was competing with another vendor, and the other vendor dominated this space. I won't say who they are. They were doing really well. We were smaller. We were trying to grow. And we'd just done a really good job for one of their customers, but this was impenetrable, right? They had this really strong partnership. We weren't going to break through. So we did our best. And then a salesperson at this other organization who was supplying the same partner went direct to one of their customers, even though the deal was originally done through the partner. So we'd just done a really good job over here for this customer. In fact, something went wrong, and we kept a promise, and we worked around the clock to solve it. So we were in credit, and this other competing organization went overdrawn immediately.
Yeah,
because they broke trust. They went direct to a customer. So some salesperson was allowed to do something to get a commission check that wasn't good for the company and wasn't good for the customer. And we ended up owning all of their customers because we had trust, and they didn't want to do business with that firm again. There's just countless examples of where doing the right thing, being trustworthy, looking somebody in the eyes and making them a promise and going the extra mile to keep it is the right thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
And then when people don't do that, they undo years of goodwill. So that's just a consistent theme I've seen as well, which is hold on to your values and hold high integrity. And life ultimately works out to be fair and treat you well as well.
I think that's an outstanding insight, and I think it's also worth noting. Yeah, I mean, not only is it a great business practice and a vital business practice, but I think it's also worth learning to be able to sit in that kind of discomfort, because it would be very easy. I mean, I think a lot of the pain that not my fault is. I think a lot of those people probably could have said, "It is my fault. We'll make this right, and we'll do." And that's a completely different path, but it requires that moment of that sort of ache of I was wrong, I did something wrong. Someone's or you might work in an organization where one mistake gets you drummed out, and that's a much larger issue. But I think those are really like a pair of good things to keep in mind. Is like you have to be able to look the person in the eye, give them what they want, and you have to, even if it means sitting in your own discomfort for a while and saying like, "Oh, this is going to be unpleasant for a while, but we're going to work through it."
Exactly, and I've actually got friendships that have come out of that. I would say every time we've held the mirror up to ourselves and taken that responsibility, it's worked out well, and it's built trust, and it's built relationships. It's never been relationship damaging. Because guess what? When something goes wrong next time, they'll come to you and expect you to do the same thing.
Yes.
If you're doing it because it's values and you're not doing it for short-term interest, if you're playing the long game, where you want to build long-term relationships with people and build that kind of reputation, then it's what you do in your own self-interest. I think it brings people closer together.
Want more career advice? Well, click here to check out my full conversations on the Cyberwork podcast. Every week, I sit down with a cybersecurity practitioner to discuss how you can break into and move up the ladder in the cybersecurity industry. See you there.